how many of you guys are coffee drinkers? If you are a coffee drinker, how do you typically prepare your coffee? Well, coffee is one of those weird things where it can be prepared in pretty much any way. Everyone usually prepares their coffee different, and it can be prepared in any way. It can have a different outcome depending on who you are, and it still tastes good to you. So, today I'm going to be here talking to you guys about how to prepare your coffee, and I'm going to be talking about how me and my family in our house, how we prepare our coffee. So we have a little 7-step process. It kind of sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. But so this is how we do our coffee in our house. What we do is we get our coffee first. At my house, we like to use Folgers. We always get the big one because we have a lot of people in our house. The next step we do is we get our measuring spoon. We typically leave our measuring spoon just in the jar. It's just easier. It makes more sense that way. That way we're not looking for a new one every time we want to make coffee in the morning. At our house, like I said, we have a lot of people, so we typically make bigger pots of coffee. So we have a 1 tablespoon measuring cup. And then once we have all that, next thing we want to do is we want to get our coffee pot. And so we have the little ninja setup going on right here. So next thing we do is we get our pot. And so when you get your pot, you want to fill it with water. So I'm just going to dump the water in the pot right now. And once you're doing this part, there's little measurements on the side of your coffee pot. Depending on if it's just a personal cup for you or if you're doing it for a bigger group like us, we typically fill it all the way up because we have 6 people in our house. So, and most of us are, well, not most of us, all of us are coffee drinkers. So we usually fill the whole pot up. But so this is going to be our third step, is filling up our coffee pot with some water. And then once we get all that in there, it's all full now. So once we fill our coffee pot with water, the next part we want to do is we want to put the water in the actual coffee pot itself. So this is our water holder right here. So you just open that up, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to dump it from the pot into the coffee machine. There's also different measurements on here. If you don't have the measurements on your actual coffee pot itself, the measurements are more than likely going to be on the machine for you. Alrighty, now that we have that, sometimes there's a little extra. Either you just dump it all in and overfill it a little bit. I don't like to do that. I like to dump the extra bits out just so it's not a whole mess, you know. Alrighty, so now that we have our water in the pot, and the water's going to be in the pot, and so we're going to put this back in its little spot. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put the coffee itself within the pot. And so typically you would get a filter to put in this. The Ninja's kind of fancy, so we don't need to buy coffee filters because this itself is a filter. So, but if you do have a coffee pot where you need a filter, you just get one, insert it in here, and then you'd put your whatever preferred amount. Like I said, coffee is one of those weird things where it's going to be a personal preference. So the amount of water you want to put in is going to be a personal preference. The amount of coffee grinds you want to put in is going to be a personal preference. The measurement is going to be a personal preference. This is just how we do it at our house. So you get your filter, you put your filter in, and then you do your measurements. So I'm going to do 7. That's what we do. We like our coffee a little strong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just keep going till 7 or whatever you want. 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And then I like to flatten it out. All right, so now that we got that in there, we can close that up. We can put our lid back on our jar. Alrighty, so water's in, the coffee pot is empty, the filter's in if you need a filter or if you have a built-in filter like us. Grinds are ready to go, and the last step you have to do is just to start your coffee pot. So we like to get ours prepared in the nighttime, so when whoever wakes up first in the morning is ready to go, they can just turn it on, and then when they're ready to leave for work, they can just pour themselves their cup. But that is how we prepare coffee in our house. That is the steps that we do. That's all the stuff we use, ingredients, everything like that, the coffee we prefer. But like I said, coffee is one of those weird things that it's truly based off of personal preference, flavor, taste, stuff like that. So that is how we prepare coffee, and that is what we use. So thank you guys.